It said, Juvenile shot twice. Is it on now?
Yeah.
Oh, no, wait. I don't want to start there.
No, go ahead.
So right after that, I'll go.
No, sit down.
I don't want to say about my little homie yet.
We'll finish talking about what we was talking about.
All right, cool. But,
only got like 30 minutes.
So, but trap music, right?
Go sit down.
So, trap music is, trap music, T.I. created the term trap music. And this is music that they listen to while they hustling.
Mm-hmm.
Before that, they had crunk. You know what I mean? It's getting crunk. But T.I. brought in that, this for street niggas, the hustling music. You know what I mean? It wasn't a sound that he was bringing forward. That came from Jeezy.
It was a culture.
Yeah. Jeezy's sound with shouty red, not shorty red,
right.
shouty red. That sound is like the trap sound, and it got, it permeated throughout the industry. And now, so when you think of trap, it's a sound. Now when we shift and go to drill music, what is the when you think of drill music, you're thinking of this right here, but you're not thinking of the neck.
No, drill music is hitter music.
This is music to murder to.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
So my thing is like for the youngins, right? So when they're in that influential stage, in between, so you said it's a little younger, so it starts at like in between 10 and 13.
I would say, but they still, like, I coached the Mighty Mites this past year, right? Uh-huh. And they still seem kiddish. You know what I mean? Even
like as far as their like evolvement and just development, their maturity levels is definitely delayed. Mm-hmm. So you got like 16, 17-year-olds, 15-year-olds that's definitely with like a 9-year-old mindset.
True.
You know what I'm saying?
True.
But it's like I said, you're a coach of an organization and y'all have these kids, and it's like what can be done within the organization to be able to help these young men transition without getting caught up so much in the, because we understand it's the influence of the music, right? Mm-hmm. So the influence of the music, like, and it's more the drill music, you know what I'm saying? It's more the drill music than it is the trap music. Because the drill music is that shoot 'em up, hitter, guns in the video, sliding on my ops, all that shit there, you know what I'm saying? Yeah. And like that's the stuff that they start looking up to around that age. What I want to do is I want to implement some shit amongst the coaches, because it's just not your organization, it's like damn near the whole city.
Bro,
you know what I'm saying?
Absolutely.
I want to
the coaches talk.
You know what I mean? I want to organize. I want to put together some shit with the coaches where we could kind of develop some sort of like reality mentoring program, like some real top reality shit to help these young dudes realize like, yo, you talking like that and you looking at these dudes who's just like you, going through the same circumstances, situations that you are, like they're your enemy, that you get to a point where now you want to kill them. You know what I mean? When you turn 15, 16, when you don't have youth football no more, and you transition, it's like that summer from my last year playing Little League football, going into high school.
That'd be so many. How many times was that? How many people that just played midget ball? That was their last.
That was it.
Yeah.
That was it. Yeah. Because then it was like, okay, school-wise, they might not have the grades to make the team. You know what I'm saying? Discipline-wise, a lot of times they don't have the discipline.
Right.
And like you said, you ain't gonna talk to me like that. They don't even want to hear the instruction from the coaches. You know what I mean? They can't take that sternness.
Yeah, they growing. So
you know what I mean? Exactly. So they can't take that sternness, and then they just transition all of that into like idle time, drill music.
And that's what I was gonna get to, the idle time. So when you say what do we need to do, whatever it is, first of all, it has to be cool. It can't be, I had this conversation with somebody too. It can't be the community. All right, so community activists don't even work, like the term, because it sounds like something. Like I don't want to hear the community activist. I'd rather listen to like somebody that was outside. But look though, that dude that used to be outside, that is now a community activist. Once you decide that this is what you're doing and you cross over like that, now you become somebody different to them.
Right.
I mean, of course, well, you become somebody different in general.
Right.
But like, they're not going to respect it. I swear they're not going to respect it.
So what do we do to tap into their mindset to be able to get them to start looking at things through a more realistic perspective, so that they don't find the attraction in it. You know what I mean? Because ultimately we've been there. You know what I mean? We understand like the moth to a flame, mentality. Like once you, and then like you said, the shooter mentality. You know what I mean? Once you get those labels, that becomes your moniker. That becomes
Right.
what you live for.
Right.
And that ultimately
Sugar.
becomes what you
Yeah.
die from. You dig what I'm saying?
Right.
So it's like in efforts to try to corral them, because when you got them in Little League, when y'all got them in youth sports, y'all got their attention.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
And then it's like you see that huge draw off just across the city as a whole.
Mm-hmm.
You see that huge drop off from when they finish their midget league and then go into the summer or their high school. Some of them still in high school.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? 9th grade. But they go into that summer, it gets crazy.
Man, Pitt Panthers should have the dopest college team if, you know what I'm saying? Like, out of all the players that come through, although they don't recruit deep in the city, they do get people out the city, but like a lot of times we see somebody from Pennsylvania, but maybe not as many from, you know, wherever in the Whippeal.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? But like, if all of those players came up, like the league that we are in, and this year I stepped away, but I mean, however I can help, I'm with it.
Right.
But the league that we're in, we see so much talent, yo. Like, beyond, you're like, man, how old is he? What is he? So you're expecting that next level, and then you check on him and be like, hey, what happened to that boy from over wherever? And then it's like, oh, he ain't playing no ball no more. He want to be in the hood.
Right.
So, but like, if there's like the bridge.
Right.
So like, what if we had a study hall? And I know Tay over with Lincoln, Treyo.
Yeah.
He do study halls. He do he does a lot of programs on his own. They go right down Chadwick and look. We down Chadwick 5 to 7 for this,
right?
For that. Now, if he had that, if it was that times, you know,
all the leagues, like
all organizations,
working,
and it was the league, a WPYAA thing,
right?
Then it's like, oh, okay, and everybody that's in there. The reason why I like that league is because everybody's like us.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody you go see before the game, whether you know them or not, they look like you, dress like you, y'all dap like this,
right? And
there's an understanding of who you are, and there's an understanding of your children or your players are my players,
right?
You know what I mean? So that's what I like about it, and I think that they respect those type of those people. They're like, man, nah, like my uncle told me about him. You know what I mean? That they can respect that. You know what I'm saying? And those people can run these quote unquote, I'm calling it study hall. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. But like, there needs to be something that, for real, it's just taking up their time. That's what it is.
Right. It's definitely taking up their time, and you know, putting some positive seeds in them to grow. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. And helping them to see, like, you know what I mean, that way of life ain't the way. You know what I'm saying? Because a lot of it is just like they're losing their lives, they're losing opportunities. You know what I mean? There's a lot that can come from it. And I just want to be more instrumental in working in that you know, respect, with being able to help save these kids, you know, in that regard, and really trying to put forth something that's meaningful and tangible, and like you said, something that they're going to respect. Because a lot of problems with adults that happens when it comes to working with youth is they think they know it all. You know what I'm saying? A lot of times they don't take time to listen to the kids. It's just like, I'm just going to tell you what I know.
Exactly.
And that ultimately, you know, tunes them out.
They may know it all and seen it all, but the way you deliver it to him or her isn't how you should be delivered to him or her, because they haven't seen it all and they don't know it all, so they haven't had this vast experience that you had.
Yeah, you can't lose track of your youth. You know what I'm saying? And the way you were as a youth. Right. And as you know, just developmentally, the kids aren't there yet to be able to reason. You know what I mean? They haven't developed that ability to rationalize. That's just natural childhood development.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So you got to be able to plant that seed. Like you said, it's in the delivery. You know, it's in the message. But at the same time, we still got to give these kids a voice and allow their reality, even though we've been through it and we can kind of say, some bullshit, whatever the case may be. We still got to empower them to be able to use their voice and collectively come together, because if they're competing with each other on these fields and competing with each other, you know, through the hoods and all that stuff there, but then all of that turns into like beef, like we need to be able to settle that right then and there. And give them give them that opportunity to work through that. You know, develop their communication skills. You know, develop their socialization skills, because a lot of it has to do with that. Like these kids just out here raising themselves.
Please let me jump in.
Good.
One of the small things that I do, and everybody over there know it, one of the small things that I do, one of the small seeds that I plant is language. So I know what they're going to do before and after, but when you come on this field, you cannot speak however you want to.
Mm-hmm.
So the two things, like our team would be predominantly black or something, but we might have a white kid, maybe two white kids.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? Something like that. But like, you can't say nigga on the field.
Right.
You can't say homies on the field.
Mm-hmm.
And they like, Coach, man, why are you tripping up? First of all, them calling me coach. Like, being known as coach cracks me up. Mm-hmm. Because that means I made it from them to whatever in life to where now you can be now you're seen as coach.
Right.
You're not beat Oz. You're not like, oh man, no, dude, you said like they ain't saying none of that. They're saying coach.
Right.
You know what I mean? So when you say what you said when I hopped in the ride, I'm like, that's what I strive for.
Right.
I look for somebody to see me.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Not even to look at you in that perspective.
So,
right.
So like when they first started coming up, I heard somebody say, homies, I'll beat you in a race. And the other boy said, homies, you won't. And I'm like, hold on, y'all. To be clear, you're swearing on the dead folks that you could beat him in a race. And you're swearing on the dead homies that you'll beat him in a race. You get punched in your face for lying on the homies. Now, y'all ain't lying because y'all both think y'all can win in a race.
Right.
But you are using it so frivolously that, like, it shouldn't even be coming out your mouth in the first place. You don't respect it to the point where that terminology became the culture. Like white boys up in Munhall, that's on their team. Mm-hmm. Now they saying homies. And I'm like, yo, now you got these dudes swearing on, matter of fact, you and them are swearing on our homies.
Right.
And I told him, like, man, there's going to be a day, and I pray that there isn't the day. I hope that you don't see the day when you got dead homies of your own. Now some of them, older, 20, lower 20s, 25, like my old homie that be with me, like Moose. Right. You know what I mean? He got all kind of dead homies. Right. And he was like, man, I hate it so bad when they be saying homies. Right. And I'm like, yeah, and I used to say that to you. Right. So it's a cycle to where, like, if we can jump in front of that to where, like, you respect the dead enough to not do that, then you can even respect life, you know what I'm saying, as well. And if we can get to that point, then it's like, especially playing against different teams around the city, it's like, that's like being in a frat. Where when you get in high school, you should be able to call dude and be like, yo, what's the girls like over there? Yo, what day's y'all prom, y'all homecoming or whatever. We slide dude, you know what I mean? Right. And so see, like,
that's an excellent example. That's what we need to develop within the youth organization is that fraternal brotherhood. Where they see it as a brotherhood and they see it as a unity. Because even like you talk about college sports, you know what I mean, and things of that nature, like those relationships last on and on and on. You even if you're a rival on a different team and you know what I mean, different university, you still have that camaraderie. So it's like I think that's the end. Yes. I think if we could work on developing the youth's mentality where they look at everybody that's involved in this as a fraternity and really understand the nuance and the history and the language and the purpose of what the word fraternity means. Yes. Then maybe they can see each other on more of a brotherly perspective than you know what I mean. Say dude that played for Homewood, say he got a problem with somebody over Braddock, right? But the dude that played for Braddock know him, so the homie who he got a problem with, he like who. I know him. Let me call him real quick. He right. Did it. Yeah, squash it. Yeah, it ain't your whole neighborhood versus your whole neighbor or your whole block or whoever. Right. You know what I mean? Right. Because you have that, and that's really what happens like in the streets for real. They don't have that. When I say for real, I mean like to where there's like when it's real. You know what I mean? When you talking about real OGs like and real people who have status, street activities, that's just like killing. Right. That's just killing. Right. But just overall, there's like somewhat of a hierarchy. Not that you gotta listen. Oh yeah, my bad. Yeah, no. There absolutely was a hierarchy, and that element. A large part of that was lost, but it still do exist. You know what I mean? In some respects. But I want to be able to take this conversation and really like put it into the organizations and try to figure out how we could start implementing that mentality within the youth, because I could never forget when I watched this documentary on this was the gang riots in '93 out in LA or '92 out in LA, and one of the dudes was saying like You know,
Watts, just for anybody who said, "Oh, it was Watts in LA." All right.
But when the dude was saying, like, he was like, "Yo, we gotta change the language, because when I look at you like a nigga, it's easy to kill a nigga. But when I look at you like my brother, then I think twice about it, because you my brother." You know what I'm saying? Right. And I think that the like you mentioned earlier, is the frivolous usage of certain words takes away the feeling aspect. It's just another word. You know what I'm saying? So if we've become so accustomed to viewing each other as niggas, and niggas technically ain't shit, why should I value?
They can't see that. He went like that. He don't.
You know, why should I value a nigga? Right. But if I view you as my brother, and I respect you as my brother,
I know what a brother is.
We could work through those terms. You know what I mean? We could work through those issues. You know what I'm saying? I can have a problem with you that don't escalate into violence and me wanting to kill you, because I see you as my brother. We could work through this. Versus, you know, the niggas. So I definitely appreciate the fact that you do work with your kids, you know, on understanding language and things of that nature. But yeah, I think that fraternity aspect.
That fraternity aspect, and there's a few things I could think of. But before I even say that real quick, think about us, right? Think about how you are. Think about how I am, and think about the name of my company and the name of your company. So the name of my company, HUSTL, and the name of your company, Grandmo, it doesn't allow you to not live up to the grind, or you fake it.
Right.
If I'm tired and I'm like, man, I don't feel like getting this done, then like, I'm telling myself, like, you ain't hustling.
Right.
So then now I have to live up to that.
Right.
What we were talking about before. Oh, all right, now switch it. I'm a shooter.
You
now put that in there. I gotta live up to that.
Exactly.
He just said something crazy to me, and I'm a shooter.
I'm a shooter, so that's what I'm gonna do.
He bumped into me, and I'm a shooter.
Right.
Like, no matter what I go to. Or mix shooter, or take shooter out, and then like
hitter.
From a broader perspective, you can say hitter, but just like how much niggas be like, man, I'm a gangster, nigga. And then that right there, there's too many things I fall under being a gangster. So now it's like, those are the words that the kids breathe life into. You know, those are what they want to identify and aspire to be. And I feel like it's our responsibility to help them realize that's not the way. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's not the way. Those aren't the words that the way. They're not going to listen to that's not the way.
It's not about telling them. You have to literally. You have to literally put in the work to show them.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? And this is what I want to see happen within these organizations, is the coaches and the cheerleading coaches and the people that's involved and the parents. Like, it has to be a collective. It just can't be one.
Right.
You know what I mean? It has to be a collective. And I know y'all have like y'all organizational meetings and stuff like that there when all the members come together and y'all plan out.
The whole league? Oh, yeah. The organization or the whole league?
The whole league, like organization and the league, you know what I mean? But these are the conversations we need to have in those spaces.
At those meetings,
At those meetings, to get the buy-in from the coaches, you know what I mean, the trainers and everybody that's involved in the organization, so it can then resonate into the parents and start trickling down to the youth. And if we can put together where it's just like consistency across the board, we can make an impact with these kids, bro. We can make an impact with these kids. I don't believe that it can't happen.
Oh, I agree. Cause look, when I was in junior college, right, we used to play games. We used to travel. Like, we traveled far enough. Like, we would travel as a team, right, and we would get to the hotel, and we would sit down and have a dinner with the other team. You know what I mean? Not with us at the table, but we're here and they're at that table. You know what I mean? But like, we come through, and that familiarity, like, we see each other. So now I'm just saying, like, take that out and then put that in the midget league. If there was like, I mean, depending, there's so many games, it ain't one game, but like, just in the perfect world, to where both teams, after people going home, so before, both teams were able to bust it up some kind, not like kick it, but just have familiarity with who each other is or are, because after this, they'll be seeing each other around, and then, you know what I mean, that literally, like, some of these people can save each other's lives based off of this right here. They're really coming up in a fraternity of, I don't know, the 100 people, 150 people in the organization.
Right.
Like, that's like 1,000, or not that, how many teams? 18, 20? You know what I mean? That's like 2,000 plus 2,500, something like that. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like, that it.
And the greatest power is when you can inspire a youth to inspire another youth.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? When you can inspire a youth to inspire. Because when I was doing my peer-to-peer mentoring over at Perry.
Yeah.
And when we was going real hard with it, I can recall like the dude saying like, oh, they won't listen to me. They won't listen to me. If I tell them to do something, they ain't going to listen. I said, you're absolutely right. They're not going to listen to what you say.
Right.
They're going to react to what you do.
Mm-hmm.
So the power in getting influence to them is by being a leader that you need to be. You know what I'm saying? And acting out on a daily basis the way you need to act out, and then they will fall suit knowing that this is the standard. That this is the standard. Right. And for a long time, up until I had to deal with being out the school system for a little bit, that whole time, we had like a strong 7-8 year run of nothing but peer-to-peer mentoring, where my 11th graders and 12th graders was mentoring the 9th and 10th graders, and then going into the middle schools and mentoring the 8th graders, and getting the 9th graders to talk to the 8th graders about what to expect, what's different between high school and middle school, and you know how to make these changes. And like I'm looking so forward to getting back to that on a regular basis. You know what I mean? And redeveloping that program because it was powerful. Man. And I still have a lot of the gents that still reach out to me that you know, still looking to do stuff. You know what I mean? They still would, because I would get
there's grants for that.
I would get the graduating gents, that the ones that went to college or even didn't go to college, to come back to the school and share their experience with the seniors that was transitioning out. Like, these are the things you need to expect and prepare for. Mm-hmm. So it was a super dope situation where it was all youth led. Yep. All I did was just kind of give them some instruction. I let them create everything they needed to create. And it was super dope. We would go to Arsenal, speak to the youth group at Arsenal, and things of that nature. So I'm looking forward to getting that back up and running, you know, this school year as well. But I want to get in with these youth athletics, man. I want to get in with these youth athletics and get up with these coaches. So let's figure out how to make that happen.
Let me say this too. Is that too late? Yo, I'll never forget this. I was in 11th grade or 12th. 11th or 12th grade, I'm not sure which one. But they had took us from my school, Still Valley, but the people in Still Valley was only Homestead kids, right? Took them to Westinghouse. And at Westinghouse, there was a hip hop forum. Mm-hmm. And I forget who put it on, yo. But like, so first of all, we come walking into the cafeteria. They're like, oh, like they was like, hold on, we got visitors. They're like, yo, what up? Then, now my whole family's from over here, so I'm walking through dapping every. I'm like, yo, what's good? Right. And I'm like, yo, this is my. So now this fellowship is happening based off of people. All you need is one or two people to know each other, and then we introduce all. You know what I mean? And my cousin was in there. He, rest in peace. But like when he passed away, man, like 15 of my homies was hurt. You know what I mean? Like they really knowing. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? I know like 15 of his. I know Mook from Cal back in the day. You know what I mean? So like. That right there sets the, and then it wasn't just like they brought us over there. This forum, they was teaching us about older, I don't say older, but like I'll just say old school hip hop. You know what I mean? And the dude, because we was on whatever in the 90s, right? So he's giving us. Dude was like, yo, and here is going to be Kane, Rakim, KRS is what we doing in here. And then you leave out of this room, you go over to another classroom. Yo, every classroom was a hip hop class. This was crazy. I don't know who put this on, but it was in Westinghouse. And whoever got Still Valley to come over there, and then we was in there. Like, I learned about rap in a different way. Right. I learned about the culture I was growing up in, and the clothing, and who wore this first, and the baggy joints with the... Right. Man, I'll never forget that. So if we can do whatever the program is to where they can... be cool, they can build with each other, but then there's something that matters that we're getting down to. Teach them about themselves, actually. Right. And you know, because knowledge itself is important, and that's another thing that they all miss, is that knowledge itself, and understanding their connection to history. Like they don't. There's a lot of work we got to do, man, but I'm committed to the process, bro. Yeah, man. Grind mode. Happy hustling.